Hello everybody and welcome to this episode. This is Creative Visions TV. I'm your host Karen Dahlman and this is my board partner Rodney.
How you doing? So happy I'm here.
Well, it's been a couple weeks since we've gotten together and done the board work.
Yes, it has.
We've both been very busy with different things. So we got on the board today already speaking to the guides, and we asked them, is there a certain guest they want to bring on, a special guest to talk to you? Is there a certain topic they wanted to give you? And instead they said they wanted to keep it unknown to all of us.
That means it's going to be a mystery.
Really, all kidding aside, this is going to be exciting for us because I love it when we don't know what's coming through. You don't know either, and the guides just bring forth what it is we all need to hear.
Yeah, this is my favorite part. This is the best part of what we do, and that is getting the message and seeing what that message is going to be. And
I love the element of surprise. That's fun for me too. So I'm not surprised they wanted to keep it known to us. They don't always, but this time for sure they said
unknown.
Mystery.
Mystery.
Okay. I know it's goofy, but you gotta have fun with this too. And the guides are super funny, have a great sense of humor, as many of you have seen and over the years and also have heard. So let's just get started. You ready, Rodney?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. These guys are ready. By the way, we've already done our opening prayer, our breathing exercise. We've already made the connection. As I said, we've already been logged in and talking to them.
Yeah.
It's like getting on a computer, right? It's all ritual you go through to log in. Passwords, your username, and all that stuff. And now we're on the Wi-Fi, the great cosmic phone, which I call the great Wi-Fi system, which is intergalactic and interdimensional too. All right, so here we go. And let's begin. And remember, this is a message for all of us and you, all of us out there that are watching this show. T-H-E-G-R-E-A-T. D-I-E. Okay, that's it. Okay, we got a message here. So you ready for what it said?
Oh, yeah.
No or yes?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Do you have any idea what it said?
No.
I got a few words about power in there, so let's just see. The greatest power in all humanity is the power of the queen or the feminine energy. The physical power is almost exclusively male or masculine. The dominant cultural imperative, that's it. The dominant cultural imperative is to protect the queen. Okay. It is through trust that it is possible to do this. And when trust is lost, all things die. So the greatest power in all of humanity is the power of the queen or the feminine energy. The physical power is almost exclusively male or masculine. The dominant cultural imperative is to protect the queen. It is through trust that it is possible to do this. And when trust is lost, all things die. So what does that mean to you?
I don't know. It sounds like it's not through.
Yeah, maybe you want to make a statement, maybe there might be more. But what I'm getting from this is you can use the metaphor and actually a literal image of when there's a queen, it's queen bee or queen ant. The rest of the hive, the rest of the group is always to protect the queen. Same with even in chess.
But this is talking about humanity.
It is talking about humanity, but I'm saying you could hear it on different levels.
Oh yeah.
So right. So if we hear it on different levels, then it might have different meanings to ourselves individually. So if you hear it in everything we do, whether it's, let's say it's getting out there and exerting your energy, that's a very masculine energy, whether I'm female or male. And but it's a very feminine energy to protect that within, that's yourself. Your endeavors within, your abilities, your skills, that's the feminine energy that's within you. And your masculine goes out to support it, to exert itself. Like your creativity is like a feminine energy, your expression of yourself, but it's the masculine that supports yourself to allow that to come out. That's what I'm hearing so far. What about you?
I'm on board. I like that. I couldn't have said that. I just couldn't have.
Ditto.
So I'm on board.
Okay. Well, listen, there's many ways to look at it.
I mean, I wish I could add to that, but that was really good.
Well, that's about all I got so far. I do think, what I understand is, like I was getting to the idea of chest. When the queen is the one on board, she actually protects the masculine, doesn't she? She can go all different directions.
Yeah, but she has the
most
power.
There you go. So the queen is the power, where the masculine protects that power. And they are talking about empowerment here. The greatest power in all humanity is the feminine or the queen. They use the word queen. So I know why they use the word. I use the word queen a lot when I'm talking about female power. But yet I know why they're saying queen, because in chess, there you go. She has the most power. Although it's like you get the king, it's over. And because he's the strength behind it, right?
Right.
But she's the true power that she can use it, but we're also trying to resort to use it at the end, or to save it so she can get all the.
Yeah, I'm not a chess player, but I know enough about it. I think I know enough about it that you're not going to win the game without getting rid of the power of the queen.
Yeah,
your opponent's queen.
She's one that can move all over the board in all the different directions, where not everybody can do that. So she's the most powerful. So that's interesting. Let's see where else they go with that. Okay, here we go. T, H, E, E, X, P, R, E, S, S, T, R, U, S, T. Okay, so it goes on to say, I shouldn't say it, they, the guides, that's who we're talking to here. The guides go on to say, please do not doubt the power of the masculine, because it must always awaken the power of the queen, and this will not happen without trust. So, within ourselves, the masculine aspect, as I mentioned earlier, in the act of a creative act, is needed for those ideas to come to fruition, the creative energy you receive within the ideas. And so the masculine energy is needed there to exert it and express it. But also in life, and without, meaning outside of ourselves, we need the masculine energy in our world. I think when we get caught up in that, we just want to be feminine, we want the feminine energy, we want the woman to take over and be in charge. I'm not for that. I'm for an interplay, the dance, the dualism of these two energies and how they support each other. That book.
I like the
dance.
Talk about the dance.
I do too. Now, you read The Spirit of Alchemy about this interplay of masculine and feminine energies.
Several times, actually.
Oh, thank you. That's nice.
No, I liked it. Well, I didn't do it just because you wrote it. I read it. I read it because you wrote it. I read it again and again because I liked it.
Well, I read it again and again because I don't remember everything I wrote, because they were channeling through me a lot of it. And we did talk about this interplay. This is why I think I can really speak to this, because this is something that's really been something I pursued most of my life. Since, let's say, graduate school, I really started to get into the masculine and feminine energy and how that shows up in our lives therapeutically when I was working with clients, but also within my own life, like as I mentioned, through the creative act, but also through how I can work with people in the outer world and in my environment. So really, we need the masculine energy, because the masculine energy is needed to awaken the power of the queen. Think of Sleeping Beauty. Now, I know that just seems like a story, but these were all based upon allegories or metaphors of how we humans work, we operate. So the ancient queen is asleep, and she slumbers in her beauty and her sexiness and her pristine until the masculine energy can awaken her. And that was through, in Sleeping Beauty, through a kiss, which is a very seductive, sexy thing. Her beauty was seductive. And so think about this inside yourself. How do you support yourself to get out there and be who you are? Your feminine energy knows. This is your empathy. This is your intuition. Does the masculine energy within you support yourself? You must trust that part of you that's going to help you get your energy out there. You've got to learn to trust that. And also, it's talking about, again, trusting that masculine influence outside of you. And you have to really think about how this works in your world. Any thoughts or comments about that?
No, I'm really actually enjoying the conversation about it.
And by the way, this is what the guides and I do often without the board. I get these ideas in my head and they ask me to write about them, and that's pretty much how the book happened too. And then we have this dance. We have a dynamic interplay within my mind or on the paper, not unlike what you're seeing here, with their words.
What does it, when I first started using the board with you several years ago,
right.
You hadn't written the book yet. You were in the, you had started it.
That's right.
And if I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, they stopped you and
said, why? Do you remember why?
Yeah, I do. Now that we're talking about this, because she was writing strictly about the feminine energy, and they said, no, you have to include the masculine. Yeah.
And so I was writing about the feminine energy kind of on the bandwagon of rise up women, which, listen, I support that to a T. But rise up women, not at the expense of the masculine. Rise up feminine energy with the interplay of the masculine energy. And so the book, I had a deadline from my editor and I had to get it out. We had 6 months. I had 6 months and she had 6 months. We had to get this out to publish. And so 6 months I had to change the whole format of the book. Although I did a lot of the work behind it and the research, and I was able to pull it together rather quickly because I'd done research for about 2 or 3 years before that. But they were clear that
they spun it on a dime.
They spun it on a dime. I had to spend it on a dime, and they said we are here to support you. So yeah, what I learned from writing that book, and what I guess what we're talking about today, is that both energies are needed.
Oh, you said, and tell me if I'm wrong. You said I don't have time to change this, and that's when they said, "Don't worry, we will help you."
Yeah. That's true. So that's another thing about trust. I had to trust the process. That was the masculine energy, to be able to put these into words and express it forward in a creative way, which became the book. So I had to trust. There's that word trust again. Okay, let's see what else I have to say. I didn't know they were going to go here today, but let's do it with them. I-T-I-S-T-H-E-F-E-M D-I-R-E-C-T-I-O-N. Okay. Furthermore, okay, here it goes. It is the feminine that creates the direction, and the masculine as well as the feminine that must trust the process and the direction. So it is the feminine that creates the direction, and the masculine as well as the feminine that must trust the process. So, and the direction. So in other words, if you've lost trust in anything in your life, in the world, within yourself, within others, it's that feminine energy. Conjure up, be in touch with that feminine energy, whatever that means to you, however that resonates, to be in touch with that, what that means. Be in touch with that and know that that's the energy within you. That's your powerhouse where you create the direction that you want to go. It always starts with a dream, a thought, an idea. That's very feminine. It comes out of your more right brain. And that, the masculine as well as the feminine, must trust that process. So if you've lost trust, you've pretty much lost trust in the feminine. I bet you didn't expect me to say that. And I'm saying it only because they're saying it. But I would have to concur with that. Because it all starts with the feminine. Think about it this way. Here's another example. Women give birth, except for male seahorses. They have the babies, right?
Well, they hold the babies. They hold the
but
eggs,
mostly, in most cases, it's the female energy that gives birth. So it's like a world giving birth to another world. And so you have the feminine, the woman who's pregnant, has to trust that process, has to trust herself, her body, and the male, the masculine, who procreated with that female, has to trust the process too. But it's the female energy that gives birth to everything. We think of Gaia as female. We think of the universe and the creation of the cosmos as a very feminine energy. It gave birth to the rest of the cosmos or creation. Although we do think of God as a masculine energy, not everybody does. Many think of it as more of a gender non-specific or neutral energy that all is created from. So I don't want to get into religious conversations here, and I'm not at all trying to diss any type of religion. I definitely respect many, and if not most, religions. I think they all have a great place. But what I'm saying is it's a very feminine energy that will give birth. And in fact, if you look at Christianity, it was the Virgin Mary that gave birth. And then it was the matter of how she got pregnant and her husband at the time, Joseph, to trust that process. So I want you to see this as, if you've lost trust in anything in your life, get back in touch with the feminine energy within you on whatever level that can be. It could be intuitive, it could be empathic, it could be just listening to yourself within, it could be finding that part of you that feels so sensitive and build that part back up, because that is the feminine energy. And then if you can begin to trust that along with the part of you that pushes yourself forward and to do things, to exert yourself in life, that's going to allow you to move in the direction of the process that you like. It's going to allow you to believe again once in that process of trust. Do you want to add to that?
Well, you know, as a man, it's funny because I've always felt, and I don't know how relative this is, but I've always felt that the women in my life, whether it was my mother, whether it was my girlfriend, it didn't matter. Sisters. I was always looking to them for some type of clarity, for some kind of clarity. Do you know what I mean? And I always felt like everything I did was looking for their approval that I was going in the right direction, right? And I feel that's pretty universal, that men do that. They're from the beginning, we're trying to prove ourselves to our mothers, our wives, our girlfriends, or that feminine.
What about the father?
Well, even as a father, we're looking to, we still look to our mother or to our...
Yeah, that's really the first influence, and then the male comes in as well, and it's very prominent. It's very important to the child's upbringing.
Right, who feeds us?
Yeah.
Where does our first meal come from?
Yes, it's from the breast. It's from the feminine. So that's a very literal way of looking at it, but we need to look at it on many different levels. And so literally we can explain it that way by looking at where does life come from, and trusting in that process of life, trusting in our bodies, and then look at it also within ourselves as being the male and female energies. And if we get stuck somewhere in our life where we lost trust of others, lost trust of ourselves, lost faith, trust in something we're pursuing or who we are, it's getting back to the nuts and bolts of this, to where it all started, which is your own feminine energy within, and finding a way to support that again. Well, let's see what else they have to say.
Okay.
W E D E P E N D E Q U E E N. Okay, so let's see what they had to say again. Oh, that's a long one.
This whole thing is long.
Yeah, it's about a page and a half there in this last one. Okay. It is the feminine that creates the direction. Oh, we got that. And the masculine as well as the feminine must trust the process and the direction. Okay, we already said that.
We already did that.
Yeah. The next one. I know. This is a page and a half. We depend exclusively on trust. We can locate faraway nutrition. Also, wait, so, what's that word? Also, USR. Also, that's also right. Also, that's supposed to be an S and R. I wrote over it.
No.
Read again.
Put a line right there.
After the S?
After the L.
L, okay. Nutritional.
Sources.
Oh, gosh. Ouija whisper.
Well, when it doesn't make sense, then...
Well, I know, but still, I didn't see it.
Okay.
I mean, I just kept writing over my letters. I mean, I'm not looking. I'm like, what is that? I don't know. It's a new symbol I wrote. I don't even know what it means. Okay. We depend exclusively on trust. We can locate faraway nutritional sources for the queen. That sounds like an animal now, doesn't it?
Yeah, sounds like.
Well, it sounds like an animal.
That sounds like something.
So it sounds like we had a mystery guest appear. I don't know. Okay. We depend exclusively on trust. We can locate faraway nutritional sources for the queen. And it is through the dance and trust in that dance that we are able to tell others how to locate this source so that the queen may thrive and so that our society may thrive. We are the very example of this trust, this dance, this queen. For without all of these, the hive will die and the honeybee will cease to exist, and so too will humanity cease to thrive. Trust the dance, the queen. Wait, there's 2 thes in there. Do you think I'm missing something?
No, I think they just...
Put 2 thes?
Yeah.
Well, let me ask them. Is there 2 thes there, or are we missing a word? What do we need to clear up there? O and one. Okay, there's 1. Okay. So that, okay, I gotta read the last part again because that's super important here. I think what they just said. Let's read this. Okay, so we can tell others how to locate this source so that the queen may thrive and so that our society may thrive. We are the very example of this trust, comma, this dance, comma, this queen. For without all of these, those 3 things, the trust, the dance, the queen. So the trust, the interplay, the masculine, feminine energy, and the queen, supporting that feminine energy. For without all of these, the hive will die, and the honeybee will cease to exist, and so too will humanity cease to thrive. Trust the dance, the queen. Trust the dance and the queen. So trust that interplay, the interplay within yourself, within life. And in this example, we're hearing how important, we all know this, the honeybee is to humanity. It's how important it is to the world, really, to the existence of the world. I mean, all of these many beings are of that essence. And so that is a good mystery guest to show up, to give us an example about how this group think works, how they can work together, but how it's a trust process. And automatically, naturally, they trust. Now, one of our gifts, our main gifts from Source is love. And within love, inherent is trust. So we tend to hide from it or lose it, and that's understandable. Humanity, we have our foibles, ups and downs, and so other things get in the way. But if we can get back to, if we want to thrive, in order to thrive, we have to trust the interplay between the male and female, and they mean supporting the queen. What would you like to say?
I'm just trying to think what I know that drones are the males in the hive, right? And they're the worker bees. And the females are the ones that, there's a female, obviously the queen's female, but the other females are the ones that are actually out there gathering the food, if I'm right.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you all the interplays and the workings, but I think this is sounding familiar.
That's about all I know.
Okay. How does this relate to humanity? Or our own lives?
if they didn't automatically trust, if they didn't automatically take on their role within that society, you know, of feeding the queen, nourishing her, taking care of her, and then trusting that there are food sources, flying away from the hive and getting back.
But they said they trusted enough that they can trust themselves to show others, so they can trust too where the food sources are, nutritional sources are.
Right.
So there's an interplay here. There's a dance between all the different energies there, the different levels within the hive, and also between the male and female. You're right, they have direct roles, but the whole role behind it is to support the feminine. And even as we talked about with examples for humanity, the feminine energies, it definitely needs the masculine to support it.
Yeah, because
it's like a microcosmic of a macrocosmic. We're seeing a example.
They even said that, right?
That's a great example. The great example of this.
We are a living example of
trust.
Of this
dynamic. The dynamic between male and female, I had to trust that. So, should we ask to see, is that the end of the message for everybody? Is there anything else you want to say? W, H, A, T, M, O, R, E I S T H E R E. What more is there? So we'll end that message with that. I think there's a lot here to ingest. No pun intended with honey. But there's so much here to ingest and to explore within ourselves. And see how this message resonates for you. It may or may not. I think it does touch on a lot of things within our own lives. I've heard from quite a few people that trust has been an issue that's come up for them, and I can fully understand why. What we're seeing more in our culture right now is division, and that's hurting us. And so one group's better than the other group, etc. Or we should all be, great feminists or just support the masculine. But there's more of an interplay here. We need to look at that within our own lives. So leave your comments below what you think about what was shared, how it relates to you. We all have great insight into this, and we can hear it and see it and feel it on many different levels. That's the important thing. And also just, where are you with trust in your life? And let's start with trust of yourself. Can you trust yourself? I have to say that's something I've worked on a lot in my life. I've had ups and downs with that. And it's something that I think many of us, we have to look at from time to time. How about you?
It's funny because, I have a lot of, my father died when I was very young. That's neither here nor there. But I've always looked to elderly men to get, to understand how to be more masculine. But whenever I wanted advice from somebody, it's seemingly, I went to a woman, my grandmother, my mom, my sisters, to get an idea of what direction, of direction. It's I mean, just thinking of it in those terms.
I think that's very interesting, because I think that's what a lot of people do. You mentioned that earlier. I think if you can find out the interplay, the balance of the two. It sounds like you were doing that in your life, because you did lose your father at a very early age.
Yeah, I didn't know what to do. Yeah,
but you found that masculine energy in other men, and you told me some stories, and then you definitely, I see how you responded and reacted and interplayed or worked with the feminine energy.
Right.
Yeah, that's powerful stuff. So let us know your comments below. This was a long session. Of course, we sped it up for you, so that helps.
Yeah, that'll help.
That always helps. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us here. The topic was trust. It's also about the interplay and dance between the masculine and feminine energies within ourselves, within the world, within life. And how can you get back to that process of trust with yourself? This is Creative Visions TV. I'm your host, Karen Dahlman. That's Rodney, my board partner. And we thank you very much for joining us. Until next time, bye-bye and happy boarding. Yeah.